What have they just done, these 3 games as a whole, to make it difficult to score for you all?
Well, I don't think they sped us up tonight, forced a lot of turnovers. I had 6, way too many. I think we had 20 as a team. I think they're number 1 in forcing turnovers and getting points off turnovers. And I think they did that tonight. Physical fight over screens, they switch a lot. Combination of those things make them a really good defensive team. Obviously, the size, the length, athleticism, and then ability to turn steals into points.
Yeah, I mean, how difficult is it to just have to go against their collective length where they can kind of switch everything and put a bunch of like-sized guys out there?
Yeah, they got a really good roster in terms of length, but then Chet being at the rim, a guy who can sit in the drive and kind of play cat and mouse, a really good rim protector, makes them a really good defensive team.
Yeah, and just I guess what is the mentality of the team, going into 4 and trying to prolong this series?
Yeah, just trying to get one. Execute and practice tomorrow. Go over the game plan. Figure out collectively how we can put together 48 minutes, starting with me taking care of the ball. Better possessions, quality looks. I think we've been getting pretty good shots throughout the series. We just got to make them. Then I think the other part of it is finishing possessions with rebounds. They had some long misses that they turned into second chance and third chance opportunities. So I think that's a mentality. A series is not over. We got to go compete and show some pride and put up a fight on our home court.
Yeah, right before the end of the season, we saw you playing at such a high level during that West Coast trip, and you just haven't been able to tap into that during these first 3 games. I guess, what do you think has been the biggest difference during this series that's kind of prevented you from looking like that version of CJ?
I've just been missing shots, man. To be honest with you, I've had some quality looks. I have some tough looks as well throughout the series in terms of coverages, but just missing shots. We've been putting the work in, like we always do behind closed doors, understanding the game plan, understanding where I'm going to get my looks from, and I will continue to work on it. And it's a make or miss league, and when you miss it, it's difficult, especially in the playoffs. When your team needs you to score, it's hard for us to win games if I'm not efficient and I'm not being productive. So we'll get back in the lab and be ready for Game 4.
And what have you seen these last 2 games just with the turnovers and with them being as high as they've been?
I think we got the right intention, just not always making the right play. Some questionable passes, passes in traffic, those types of things where, the intention is there. We're trying to play fast. We're trying to, make plays for other people and not necessarily executing. But, credit them. They're a good defensive team. They force turnovers. They play passing lanes. They're active. They swarm well. And they forced a lot of turnovers tonight.
I talked about, just for spurts, he's felt like himself, but, coming back from the injury, he just hasn't been able to be the same guy he was previous. I guess how tough do you think that's been for him, just not being able to feel like himself and knowing how much pressure they're putting on him on the defensive end?
Yeah, he jumped back into a playoff atmosphere, from the playing game, from the regular season game to the playing games to now, and it takes time for your body to adjust. It takes time for your mind to adjust, the speed, obviously the physicality, being the focal point of the scouting report. They fighting over screens, some traps, showing body, showing length. They have a really good game plan. They've been executing it well, so it's got to be difficult, but he's a pro. He works on his game, works on his body, works on his mind, and he'll be back in the lab and be ready to go in Game 4.
And CJ, was that one of the reasons why we saw you look ultra aggressive in that first quarter, trying to get the team going, trying to set the tone? Yeah,
I was just trying to get down here, and some of it was just opportunity. There were some open shots there. I got to catch and shoot 3. Nobody in the screen. We got a transition 3. I missed in and out. I got a step back 3 where the guy got caught up on the pick and roll. When you're facing elimination, you got to be aggressive. What are you taking home? What are you gonna go out there and just hang out? You gotta be aggressive and be assertive and leave all your bullets out there and go home knowing you did all you could.
And Willie threw a little bit of a curveball in that second half by going small, no JV. Did you like anything you saw out there when I think BI was on Shet, for instance?
Yeah, when you down, double digits against a good team, you got to be able to make adjustments and be willing to make adjustments. And I think for us, it's just about kind of figuring out the right recipe to consistently, put together a full game.
In the second quarter, y'all got it to a 1-point game, 40-39. Then they went on a 14-0 run. What were they able to do to kind of push ahead during that run?
Honestly, I'll have to go back and watch the film. But I'm imagining they scored in transition. They hit some threes. Dort hit a couple threes. They put pressure on the rim. Took advantage of long misses. They got second chance opportunities. A little bit of everything. I would imagine was what happened in that second quarter.
Just how tough is it, So much of this year, we talked about you guys being able to put that stuff behind y'all, having that time together, and then right before the playoffs, B gets hurt, playing games, C gets hurt, and it feels like we're back having the same conversations we had the first 2 years.
It's unfortunate, man, but we still got a job to do. We got to show up and be pros and figure out how to get better individually, figure out how to be better collectively. You can't control some of those things. You can't control injuries. You can't control timing of the injuries. Like, that's just a part of the game. A lot of teams have faced injuries throughout the season that have been unfortunate if you look across the league. And, you know, it's the next man up mentality. And it is what it is. You know, some years you have really good health, some years you don't. And sometimes the timing's not ideal, but you got to figure it out collectively.
CJ, what's your message to like some of the younger guys who never experienced like being down 3-0 in the series?
Nah, I'll speak to everybody tomorrow, but I think it's just about collectively playing with pride. You know, no team has ever come back, but you just got to take it one game at a time. You got to be, you know, locked into what you want to accomplish. You got to play with energy. You got to play with enthusiasm, and at the end of the day, you have nothing to lose. It's not like we're the #1 seed coming in with a down 0-3. You know what I'm saying? So I think for us, it's just about the approach. You know, be a pro. Make sure you leave it all out there on the floor.
Thank you, CJ.